Welcome to Incentives Matter, your guide to what's new in behavioral science and behavioral economics. Let's see what's really driving decisions.
We often talk about nudges, those subtle pushes that guide us toward better decisions, like making organ donation opt out instead of opt in. But what if the stakes are much higher than just a default choice? What if a fraction of a second, a millimeter of movement, or a single oversight means the difference between life and death or a catastrophic failure?
That's precisely the territory of what's being called behavioral precision. It's about more than just influencing a general tendency. It's about ensuring an individual executes a specific, critical action correctly, consistently, and at the optimal moment, especially under pressure.
So we're talking about a level of granular detail and real-time accuracy that goes way beyond, say, a prompt to save more for retirement. It's about predicting or even intervening before someone makes a potentially fatal error.
Exactly. Think of it less as a gentle nudge to choose the stairs and more like predictive analytics for a surgeon's incision or a pilot's reaction time during an emergency. The ambition is to move from understanding average behaviors to ensuring precise individual actions when it matters most.
That's a fascinating shift because traditional behavioral science often aggregates data, looking for broad patterns and population-level effects. Behavioral precision seems to zoom in on the individual, almost forensically. What exactly are the core components that define this precision?
The research identifies 5 key dimensions. First, there's accuracy. Is the action correct? Did the surgeon cut in the right place, or did the factory worker select the correct component? Then, timing. Was the action performed at the optimal moment? A fraction of a second too early or too late can be critical, whether it's a pilot engaging a system or a first responder administering aid.
So not just what they did, but when they did it. So beyond what they did and when, the frequency of correct execution also seems important?
Absolutely. That brings us to consistency. Is the action repeatable under varying conditions? Can the same precise action be executed reliably, time after time, even as conditions change? Then there's adaptability. Can the individual adjust the action based on changing circumstances? A surgeon might need to adapt mid-procedure, or a driver might have to react to unexpected road conditions.
So it's not just rote repetition, but intelligent, flexible execution. What's the fifth dimension?
The fifth is efficiency. Is the action performed with minimal wasted effort or resources? This isn't just about speed, but about streamlined execution that reduces cognitive load and potential for error. Think of an experienced chef in a busy kitchen making every move count. These 5 dimensions together form the framework for evaluating behavioral precision. It's a much more nuanced view than simply categorizing behavior as good or bad.
This suggests a shift from a binary understanding of behavior to a continuous spectrum of performance, especially in high-stakes fields. What makes this focus on precision so urgent now?
The urgency comes from recognizing the cumulative impact of even minor imprecisions. While there is often a focus on large-scale disasters, the reality is that countless everyday accidents, medical errors, and operational failures stem from a momentary lapse in precision. The paper highlights that these small individual errors can cascade into catastrophic system failures, much like the investigations into events like Chernobyl or the Challenger disaster, revealed a series of human errors, not just one single catastrophic mistake.
It's like the butterfly effect, but for human performance. A tiny deviation here, a slight misjudgment there, and suddenly you have an adverse event.
Exactly. The cost of imprecision, whether measured in lives, financial losses, or reputational damage, is immense. Traditional behavioral science, with its focus on broader behavioral tendencies like encouraging healthy eating or financial savings, simply isn't equipped to address these minute-by-minute high-consequence actions. A more granular approach is needed to understand, measure, and ultimately improve performance in these critical moments. The goal is to shift from a reactive failure analysis to proactive prevention science.
That proactive element is key, but how do you even begin to measure something like behavioral precision in real time? It sounds incredibly complex, especially when considering microseconds and subtle movements. What kind of data does this entail?
That's where the convergence of behavioral science with advanced technology becomes crucial. Researchers are looking at sophisticated sensor data, from wearables tracking physiological markers like heart rate, stress levels, or eye movements, to motion sensors analyzing motor skills and postures. This also involves advanced AI and machine learning to process these vast datasets and identify subtle deviations from optimal performance.
So it's not just about, say, a pilot training in a simulator, but potentially having real-time data streaming from their body and environment during a flight, constantly assessing their state and actions. That raises immediate questions about surveillance and privacy.
Indeed, the ethical considerations are paramount, but technically, the ambition is to move towards personalized, real-time feedback systems. Imagine a surgeon getting a subtle haptic feedback if their tremor exceeds a certain threshold, or a truck driver receiving an alert if their fatigue levels indicate a risk of microsleeps. The data could come from things like haptic sensors and surgical tools, eye tracking devices, or even ambient sensors in a workspace. The challenge is collecting this data unobtrusively and translating it into actionable insights without overwhelming the individual or violating their autonomy.
It sounds like a departure from the simple static default option type of nudge. If precision is being measured in real time, the interventions must also be more dynamic and personalized. How do these precision nudges differ from traditional approaches?
The interventions are much more targeted and context-aware. Instead of a general reminder to be safe, you're looking at preemptive nudges that deliver just-in-time information or prompts based on an individual's specific state and environment. For example, a system might detect an individual is overloaded with information and temporarily filter out non-critical alerts, or provide a visual cue to recheck a specific item on a checklist if a common error pattern is identified.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's tailored, almost like a digital coach, aware of your current situation and cognitive load.
Precisely. Beyond real-time feedback, these interventions also include highly tailored training programs. Think virtual reality or augmented reality simulations that can adapt to an individual's performance, focusing on their specific weaknesses and providing immediate corrective feedback. This moves beyond generic training modules to adaptive learning environments designed to build and reinforce precise behaviors. And it's not just about the individual. Environmental design plays a huge role. Error-proofing, clear visual cues, ergonomic design all contribute to making precise actions easier and less susceptible to error.
It's about designing systems and environments that facilitate precision, rather than relying solely on individual willpower or training. This makes a lot of sense, especially in industries where human error is so costly.
That's right. And it extends to team-based interventions too, focusing on improving communication protocols, fostering shared mental models, and ensuring seamless coordination in high-stakes teams like surgical teams or flight crews. The idea is to create a multi-layered approach to reinforce precise behavior.
This all suggests significant potential for safety and performance, but it also paints a picture that could be viewed as Big Brother. What are the critical ethical considerations researchers are grappling with as this field develops?
The ethical challenges are significant and need to be at the forefront of this research. First, there's privacy. How is this highly granular data collected, stored, and used? Who has access to it, and how is it protected from misuse? Then there's autonomy. How much intervention is acceptable before it infringes on an individual's freedom to act or makes them overly reliant on system prompts? The line between helpful guidance and intrusive control can be very fine.
And the potential for bias is also a major concern, especially if AI is involved in identifying deviations or predicting performance.
Absolutely. Algorithmic bias is a critical issue. If the training data for these AI systems contains biases, it could unfairly target certain individuals or groups, or perpetuate existing inequalities. There's also the risk of de-skilling, where individuals might become less adept at critical thinking or problem-solving if they overly rely on automated precision prompts. The goal is to augment human capability, not replace it.
So, while the promise of saving lives and preventing disasters is immense, the development of behavioral precision must be approached with a deep understanding of its societal implications.
Indeed, it requires robust ethical frameworks, transparency in data usage, and careful consideration of who benefits and who might be disadvantaged.
This isn't just a technical challenge, it's a societal one that demands interdisciplinary collaboration between behavioral scientists, engineers, ethicists, and policymakers.
To summarize, what are the key takeaways listeners should grasp about this emerging field of behavioral precision?
The first is that behavioral precision is a distinct and critical area within behavioral science, moving beyond broad tendencies to focus on specific, high-stakes individual actions. Second, it's driven by the need to prevent catastrophic failures that often stem from a series of minor human imprecisions.
And it seems like technology is the enabler here, allowing for unprecedented levels of measurement and intervention.
Precisely. The third takeaway is that advanced technology, particularly sensor data and AI, is making real-time measurement and personalized interventions possible. But, and this is the fourth key point, ethical considerations, privacy, autonomy, and bias must be central to its development and implementation.
It sounds like a powerful tool, but one that needs to be wielded very carefully. What's one big question this leaves for consideration?
A central question is, how much precision is actually desirable in daily life? Where is the line drawn between helpful, life-saving intervention and an overly monitored existence?
And perhaps, how can it be ensured that in the pursuit of precision, the very human qualities of intuition and adaptability, which can sometimes be the greatest assets, are not inadvertently stifled?
That's all for this episode of Incentives Matter. Join us next time as we keep unpacking what really drives decisions. Thanks for listening. Choose wisely, or at least know why you didn't.